Calling all entrepreneurs, get ready because today we are talking to an economic development giant with good news for him, but bad news for others. But first, business, business, and more business. All of this and more, so don't go away because it is time to level up.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Did you know that joining a chamber of commerce or a business membership organization can open doors to incredible networking opportunities, valuable resources, and advocacy for your business? These organizations play a crucial role in fostering a supportive business environment. And here to help us explore this topic, Daryl Barnes, President and CEO of the Bi-County Business Roundtable, Alex Austin, President and CEO of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, and Kenneth White, Executive Director of the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. Let's get started. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so the first thing that I just want to get into is each of your organizations. What are your missions and how do they differ?
Sure. So the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, our mission is to educate, advocate, and connect small businesses within the state of Maryland.
Okay.
Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, established in 1924, so we're 100 years this year. And our primary mission is similar, to advocate, educate, and provide networking opportunities for small business and large corporations, Prince George's County.
All right, Daryl.
So the Bi-County Business Roundtable is a microcosm of a Chamber of Commerce, meaning we do some of the same things as your traditional chamber of networking, advocacy, procurement opportunity, and training. Only thing our focus is really those small businesses that do anywhere from $0 to $3 million is our sweet spot. That's the area or the focus that we focus in on.
Okay, so what are some of the unique benefits that organizations like yours have for businesses in this climate that we are in today?
So I think one of the benefits, in my experience, a lot of people open businesses because they have a skill set. Okay. And so I'm good at A, but I don't have an education in C, D, E, F, G, and all those other things. Marketing and technology and HR and accounting and finance. So what we try to do is to bring those resources to the small business so they are fully equipped to be successful. So not just in their talent, but in the whole business organizational structure to make sure they're successful and they grow.
Now, you're focusing specifically on Black businesses, which I absolutely love that. Do you find that to be challenging?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, a lot of our businesses are first generational. A lot of our businesses are financial. They don't have the same financial strength that non-Black businesses typically start off with. Limited access to capital, resources. So, yeah, they present unique experiences. Cultural, we do things culturally a little different than others. So there's a lot of barriers that we need to overcome.
Right. Daryl, same thing, because I know that the Bi-County Business Roundtable services a myriad of businesses, and I know a lot of them come down to being minority businesses. What challenges are you seeing that segment of the business community facing today?
Sure, I think a lot of it is educational. A lot of these businesses just do not know where to go, where to turn, or have access to. So what the Bi-County Business Roundtable do is try to open up those doors of opportunities to create pathways for them to be able to speak to or be in the room with other decision makers that would help them in growing their business. Once again, we do some of the same things as these other two organizations. Our focus is really trying to educate them to make sure that they're moving in a more methodical way and growing their business.
Alex, you service a wider span of businesses. What is do you find any challenges for your community that differ in any way?
Yeah, well, there's always challenges. Number one, one of the things that we do is we advocate for the interests of business, both large and small. And that's both at the state level and at the county level. And so with that, there's opportunities for positive legislation that impact the business community positive, but then there's legislation that may not have a positive impact on the business community. So it's kind of find that middle ground with all of the stakeholders. The other thing is connectivity. And so we have a lot of large corporations, Fortune 100, 500, 1,000, but we also have, small businesses that have one employee. And the opportunities that the large corporations offer through procurement. Sometimes there's gaps there where we're trying to connect small businesses to the large corporations. So the opportunity for networking and connectivity is always a challenge because you have a lot of moving parts. And so the chamber and other organizations serve as a conduit to kind of be a meet in the middle.
And I'm glad you brought that up with respect to legislative priorities and legislation, because a lot of our businesses don't, or our business owners aren't necessarily paying attention, and they don't really understand the impact that legislation can bring on them. How do you bring them to the forefront on this? Daryl?
Well, I think collectively we're doing a good job of that. At least trying to make our small business in that community aware of policy. Because I think it's the policy that drives your business. And if you understood those things, then you could be more successful. Thus the reason why we're here, because I think collectively, even though we're working in our own separate silos, but we also do a lot in common or have a lot in common. And that is working through regulation and policy at the state and local levels that I think all of us have that in mind.
I'll add that I think all of us, we have legislative advocacy committees that are a major part of education and making sure that our folks know who the elected officials are, what legislation is coming up, and so we want to make sure they're aware. So.
How much of business is relationships? And how do you foster that for each of your audiences?
Yeah, relationships is the name of the game. Again, through our programming or through our networking, we have strategic events, which are hyper-focused on specific industries, demographics. We have grassroots events, which are, kind of our coffee connections, which are more monthly, more frequently held, and they give you an opportunity to have more impersonal conversations. And then we have our signature events like our, Excellence in Business Awards Gala and those large events that bring a large body of people together.
And why is it so important to attend those? We have challenging years, challenging budgets. Why should it be their priority to be there?
Well, listen, you want to be in the room.
Absolutely.
If you're not in the room, then you're standing on the outside wondering what in the heck is going on. Part of all of the things that we're talking about is having access, being a part of the conversation, and being able to have those levels of influence. And if you're not part of those networking opportunities that we all do, then once again, you're sitting on the sideline and you're missing out on those opportunities.
And I'll add, what we try to advocate for is connections, opportunities, doing business with each other. So a lot of my businesses, they don't network well. Their skill set is me, myself, and I. And they don't know that the opportunity, when you walk into a room network, there are other resources that are available, partnership opportunities, collaborative opportunities. Let's do business with each other. Let's educate each other. If I've gone through something, I can teach you something. What I learned last week, just sitting in the green room, with these guys, I learned a couple of things I didn't know was going on this week. So access to information, being in a climate of folks that are, in the business.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, one of the things that I think is important is, you mentioned information, right? Every time you meet somebody, you're going to pick up some information. And it may not happen in one meeting. Sometimes it's touch points. You got to be in the room and see the person multiple times. Even with myself, I have to, I see someone 3 or 4 times in a year, and we're scheduling a meeting because we just had those touch points, that connectivity. But also, I think and I'm going to speak collectively, we also need that investment as well. We need you to be in the room to share information because our small businesses, they have a lot of information at their disposal, and sometimes it doesn't come up because you're running your company. And when you're in that room, it's an opportunity to share and network.
Okay, so what are your biggest priorities for the upcoming year of 2025, each of you, given the new administration that we have coming in for our country?
For me, it's going to be reimagining government contracting and how do we navigate that sphere. We know changes are coming. Some changes have already come down the pike. And how do we address and make sure that we are still prepared to have access to opportunity and to grow our businesses?
What are some of those changes that have already been
i.e.
impacted?
8A, SBA 8A program,
Okay.
you know.
So is it really going away?
So the programs don't go away. There's just redefining and refocusing that you can't say black this or minority this. They're calling them, they can't be discriminatory. So now we have to figure out how do we navigate. There's still going to be small business, and there's still going to be small business needs. So how do we now navigate what that new terrain looks like?
Okay.
I would second that. Procurement is definitely a focus for us. We're focused pretty heavily on private procurement opportunities because the conversation on diversity, equity, and inclusion is redefining itself. And so, we want to figure out how corporations are looking at their procurement policies, but also making sure that our businesses are ready. And again, it's that meet in the middle. But the other thing is really looking at the state priorities as well, state and county priorities. What are the top priorities for the state around data centers, right? Obviously, procurement opportunities, green initiatives. But then looking at the county level, what are some of the high priority and high volume industries that we can look at that will help move our economy forward?
Okay. Gerald, I want you to answer that question, but I also want you to address, given that you've also been in the Maryland legislature, the issue of not having met or reached the MBE goals, and now what could that possibly look like with the redefining of DEI?
Yeah, so if you look at redefining where we are in our priorities for 2025, I think these guys articulated that very well. But we also have to look at where we are in the state. We're looking at a $2.6 billion deficit, $3 billion deficit. Prince George's County is already at a $187 million deficit and growing. So when you start talking about where am I in my business and what can I do, it's really about retooling your leadership and positioning yourself for how do you do business in a declining state or economy. Your next guest that's coming on board will talk about where we are at the county as a whole and looking at economic development and growth and where do we position our small businesses within that ecosystem. I think it's critically important. But when you start talking about legislation and policy, all of those things go hand in hand on those small businesses to ensure that they're moving in a more methodical way.
Okay. Any last words for us?
Well, listen, I'm excited. I think 2025 is going to be an awesome year. We're closing out 2024 with our Red Affair at MGM. So I would ask that everyone go to www.bycounty or bcbroundtable.com to learn more information about that. I'm excited about working with these guys because I think 2025 is just going to be an awesome year.
Alex?
Yeah, same. We're heavily focused on procurement. I think we are going to have some areas where we have to really focus collectively. I do think it's a collective effort because the entire ecosystem has to move forward together. And so, again, similar to Mr. Barnes said, I'm very eager to collaborate and really be aggressive in moving our initiatives.
Okay, and how can people find out more information about the Chamber?
www.pgclc.org.
Okay.
And I'll second all of that and say that we're heavy in programming, so check us out on our website, www.marylandbcc.org. We have a lot of events coming up and look forward to a prosperous 2025 for all of us.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for being here. You've given us great information, and I'm really glad that we were able to showcase your organizations and how you can be helpful to our small business owners.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alex, Austin, Daryl Barnes, and Kenneth White, thank you for sharing your expertise and insights. It's clear that these types of organizations are invaluable partners in building a thriving business community. Up next, we'll sit down with a leader who has spent decades driving economic growth wherever he went. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Mom, did you really need to buy 2 can openers for our emergency kit?
I can't help it. They're 2 for 1. What's this?
We need to keep our family communication plan safe in case of an emergency.
Thanks, Tita.
We should think ahead to keep Mom and Dad safe when it floods this year. I've got an evacuation route loaded on my phone.
I've got an updated list of Dad's meds.
And I've got just what we need to get them to take this seriously.
Start a conversation with your family and plan together for emergencies.
Welcome back to Level Up. Joining me now is David Iannucci, the outgoing president and CEO of the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. David is retiring after a remarkable 40-plus year career, decades of great work in the state of Maryland. David, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we were just talking about your career, and I didn't realize that it was statewide, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I started out working in Annapolis, working for the Legislative Reference, worked for Governor Schaefer as Chief Legislative Officer, and had the honor of serving as Secretary of Commerce under Governor Glendenning.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So I guess my first question is, what has stand out to you the most out of all of the decades of great work you've been doing?
Well, you know, I've always lived in Prince George's County. I'm a long-term resident, and the last 14 years working first for County Executive Baker and then County Executive Alsobrooks, I would say have been the most meaningful part of my entire career. As much important as was at the state level, and some of the important projects that we succeeded, the important jobs we brought here, thousands of jobs, in fact. Being in my home county, having a chance to impact the local community, working hard with a wonderful staff at the Economic Development Corporation to bring jobs to Prince George's County so that the residents of this county don't have to get in a car, drive on the Beltway, take Metro, so forth. We want to create jobs in Prince George's County. And it's really been, kind of personally, the most important thing I've ever done.
I think the number one question, I know for myself, I want to know is, why are you leaving?
Well, I'm 72.
I can't believe that.
I graduated from college in 1974, and I think it's time.
Yeah.
I feel very proud of the work I've done in the Economic Development Corporation. We worked through COVID, which is an incredible challenge for the county, the nation. Angela Alsobrooks was a terrific leader during that very difficult time, and we've rebounded very, very strongly. I'm very proud of that. One of the things, Prince George's County led the state of Maryland in job growth between 2011 and 2021.
Wow.
More than any county in Maryland.
Yeah.
COVID hit, of course, but now the data is showing that we've recovered more jobs since COVID than any county in Maryland. So I think that's professionally one of the most important things that I think we can point to, because we have been really on a mission to do nothing less significant than reinvent the economy of Prince George's County, and we've made great progress toward doing that.
Absolutely. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment from your time at the EDC?
Well, again, those jobs, certainly I had the opportunity to work on the FBI project, and really put 14 years into that. Probably only Congressman Hoyer and maybe Senator Cardin have got a year or two on me. We certainly hope that win, and that critically important win for Prince George's County, sticks. I know there's some uncertainty, but that project will really transform the economy of Prince George's County. It'll rebrand us immediately, but it'll bring thousands of jobs in the public and private sector. If hopefully that occurs, that'll be one of the most important things that will happen in our generation.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I know everybody's excited about the FBI, and and yes, you're exactly right, uncertainty, but hopefully we can work hard to keep it.
To keep it.
Or at least, even if it's delayed, it still comes here, right? What would you say are some of the most significant challenges that you've had over your career, and how were you able to overcome them?
Well, Prince George's County is, of course, within the state of Maryland, and Maryland has, in the past, performed really very strongly, but there are some real headwinds right now facing the Maryland economy. Governor Moore has been talking about it, Controller Lehman has been talking about it. Our job growth is not what it should be at the state level, and we need to spend a lot of time trying to be understanding what we need to be more competitive with Virginia, with some of the states in the region. We have amazing assets in the state, amazing assets here in Prince George County. One of our biggest assets in the county, I think, is our workforce, a diverse, educated workforce. And I think it really represents what America is looking for. But there are challenges from the state level that need to be addressed at the state level.
Okay. How has the EDC been able to support small and local minority businesses, and why is that work so important?
Thank you for asking that question. Ebony Stocks is the executive vice president, and she led an initiative funded by $1.5 million a grant to create a wealth of services. We have created an unprecedented level of programming to help our local small and minority business community. We've had more than 35 programs, probably affected maybe 1,500 to 2,000 individuals and employees, and hundreds of businesses, and given them skills in everything from payroll to accounting to human relations, website design. I don't know if you know that the Economic Development Corporation, we believe we're the only economic development corporation in the United States to offer AI training to our small local minority business community. And we had 2 cohorts of 25 each. We're at our 3rd cohort now. We don't think anywhere in the nation that an Economic Development Corporation offered AI training to its local minority business community.
Wow, I did not know about that training. What even sparked you to, create something like that?
Well, I know some of our colleagues here were here earlier talked about it. You have sometimes businesses, sometimes individuals who are brilliant at something. Maybe they're a chef, maybe it's technical, maybe it's IT or something like that, but they've never run a business. And that can be a real challenge. And in fact, I know some people on the banking side think that they might make a mistake by lending someone money because they simply couldn't handle it. They would default and they'd be worse off. So some of the skills on how to run a business. We've offered programs on franchising. People who have an idea, if they want to be in the small business community, but they can have that whole framework from a franchising operation. Again, all these services are trying to help our local small minority business community grow and succeed. We want to be part of that effort to create generational wealth in Prince George's County.
What has been, I would say, a key project that has come to fruition in Prince George's County that successfully attracted major investment here?
Well, I think transit-oriented development has been a priority of certainly the Alston administration as well as Mr. Baker. And if you look at New Carrollton, the New Carrollton Metro Station, I think that is one of the most transformative locations in the county. What used to be a series of parking lots right now has Kaiser there. They just moved their headquarters to that building. You have WMATA has its Maryland headquarters there. You have 2 apartment buildings, brand new garage, a hotel is coming, there'll be some restaurants coming, additional housing will be there. So what used to be a parking lot is going to be really a thriving transit-oriented development center with people living, working, and having transportation alternatives.
Okay, and it sounds wonderful, and we know that these are the things that we push for, right? But I guess my question is, how does that transform or translate into better positioning for the county, right? Because you mentioned before we want to be competitive with Northern Virginia and DC. Prince George's County didn't have all the bustling, doesn't have all the bustling development that those areas do, and I know we're working toward that. Why is that so important?
It's critically important let's look at it on a company. A company wants to find a workforce. They want to find the kind of educated, talented young folks to serve their to be their employees. Well, they need where do they go? They want to go where those employees are located. So it's very complicated. You need a place where people live, attract those young workforce, but they want a place where they have recreational opportunities, where they have shopping opportunities, where they have restaurants to go to. So creating that placemaking is part of the overall strategy to be a larger source of employment. Employers are going to go where the employees are. We used to say 100 years ago, a company would go where the natural resources were, a port or iron ore. Well, now they go where the workers are. The workers are the resource that attract them. And you're so right. There are those communities, those towns, downtown Baltimore certainly has that. Downtown Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia's got a number of locations. That's why Amazon HQ2 there. But look at our Route 1 corridor around Hyattsville. We've really started to create exactly what you're talking about, that place where people can live and work.
Yeah.
We need more of those locations, though.
Okay. How's the local business landscape changed post-pandemic?
Wow, that's a good question. A lot of people had a hard time digging out of COVID because of debt that they acquired, because of their profits went down dramatically. In many cases, they lost their workforce, and the workforce simply didn't come back. I'll give you an example of that as the childcare sector. We lost dozens and dozens of childcare facilities.
Yeah.
It's not just a Prince George's County problem, it's a national problem. And a lot of the time, the workers who were making $8, $9, $10 an hour, suddenly with wages going up, they could make $25 an hour working at Target or a warehouse. And so we have lost a significant number of childcare facilities. I never used to talk about childcare and economic development. Now I have to understand it's a connector for the workforce, for those families that are maybe two-earner families, and now they're faced, by the way, with the high cost of childcare, and they have to make those decisions about whether both partners stay in the workforce, and that's a challenge for us right now.
What advice would you give to your successor to keep driving the great progress that we've been making here in Prince George's County?
I think it's critical to speak truth to power to some of our elected officials and have them understand the challenges that the business community wants. The business community wants certainty. They want to know that if they plan a $50 million investment in Prince George's County, the rules aren't going to change on them. That they can make that investment safely. They want a regulatory environment that's safe. And so I would tell my successor to be very confident and speak up, because the message needs to be communicated. We've got a wonderful county, amazing workforce, great assets, but like every jurisdiction, we have some challenges as well, and we have to keep on trying to be better.
As you step into retirement, as we close out, what are your hopes for the future of Prince George's County, and do you plan to stay connected?
Well,
when it comes to economic development?
I'm not going to go anywhere. I've had a career been devoted to public service. I don't think I think I'll be bored if I just had to play in my garden or something like that. So there's some opportunities for some boards and commissions. I'm a believer in Prince George's County. I've lived here for a long time, and I'm committed to making Prince George's County the outstanding location for employers that we all want it to be.
David, thank you so much for your service to Prince George's County. We know that we are where we are, and we couldn't be where we are if it weren't for you, so we want to thank you for your service.
You're very generous. Thank you.
Yes. And that's our show for today. I want to thank all of my guests, Alex Austin, Daryl Barnes, Kenneth White, and David Iannucci. And thank you for watching. This show and other episodes can be found on YouTube at PGCTV. If you have an idea or topic or even a question you would like to have answered on this show, please send it to thesmallbizspot@gmail.com. If you want to join our small business club, connect with me on Instagram at It's Denise Geneva. I'm Denise Roberts, your host, and I'll see you next time on Level Up. Keep striving, keep building, and keep leveling up.
I'm an actor in an ad reminding you that if you're high, just don't drive.
Mom, did you really need to buy 2 can openers for our emergency kit?
I can't help it. They're 2 for 1. What's this?
We need to keep our family communication plan safe in case of an emergency.
Thanks, Tita.
Oh, man.
Well, good thing we kept all the lights we used for Diwali. I've got the battery pack.
Keep my phone powered so we don't miss any alerts.
What about game night?
Sounds good.
Oh, we have to get to Mom and Dad's and get them somewhere safe. I've got the evacuation route loaded on my phone.
I've got an updated list of Dad's meds.
And I've got just what we need to get them to take this seriously.
If that doesn't convince them that we thought this through, I don't know what would.
Start a conversation with your family and plan together for emergencies.
Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving.